Thank you all so very much for joining me. My name is Walisha Wilson-Menefee. I am the founder of New Life Second Chance Outreach. We are a advocacy resource sharing hub for individuals who are in Georgia who are impacted by an arrest, conviction, or incarceration. I started this nonprofit. I'm really from Columbus, grew up in Peabody, went to William Terry, went to Eddie, got with foster care, so I went to Eddie, went to Jersey, until I went across the water and graduated from Central as I stayed with my family. But Columbus is home for me. I am very active in the Columbus community despite living 2.5 hours away from here. I am very familiar and keep in contact with a lot of the folks that are here. I actually ran for city council in 2018. I would have been the first woman incarcerated person to run. So for District 7. And so I am an activist. I'm very outspoken, I'm bold in everything that I do, and I'm unapologetic about it. I feel that a lot of times when we go to this is the season where you see people you don't ever see. It's like those folks that only go to church twice a year. You don't see some folks until it's time to actually get out and I call them pimp votes. And I think a lot of times folks just go with the flow. I personally feel that nobody should be sitting in office 20, 30 years. I feel like there should be fresh faces. And I feel that leadership should change. But leadership is not going to change if folks are not actively involved in the civic engagement process, or if you don't even know individuals. So this is an opportunity for us to share with the Columbus community. I know there are tons of candidate forums that's going on. And I know you all are going to be pressed to attend a lot of them, and some of them are going to be coinciding. But we actually have several events that are coming up. We have this one today on the 11th. We will be at the North Columbus Library with City Council District 5. Then that evening, which should have been today, but we just wasn't able to do it because I would have been on the road. We're going to be talking about be informed of your voting rights. We want folks to know who can vote, how to vote with a disability, how to vote. A lot of folks for some reason feel that you're able to vote with an X. You're not. That actually throws your ballot out. People do not think that you can vote in jail. You can vote while in jail through an absentee ballot. People think that you cannot vote in Georgia with a felony. You can vote in Georgia with a felony. So these are things that we want to be able to empower and equip other people with knowing. So when they're having conversations with individuals, you're able to share the correct information. Plus, we're going to give an update about the USPS group, postmark group. Normally, you used to go to the post office and it's postmarked that same day. Now it's not. So we want to let people be aware of what's going on. And this is just, we have family group support for family members of folks who are incarcerated. And then this is the governor's. This is not our event, but it's being hosted by others. And so I will be there to get my information that I need to be able to make an informed decision. Since I have gotten my voting rights back, I've been voting everything from the flavor chips to the new Whopper at Burger King. I'm gonna make sure I take advantage of my voting rights. And then on the 2026, somebody else is hosting this event. And this is just a few, and ours is the 7th, on 31st is District 7, 9, and mayoral candidates. And then on April 2nd, we're gonna be talking to the school board. And a lot of folks be like, well, why y'all talking to the school board about social justice issues? That's also an intersection of education and criminal justice system. When you have zero tolerance policies that when you're pushing children out of school into the YDC, you're having, every little thing they do, they get in trouble. You don't know the difference between a child that's autistic or having a seizure. Same thing when they're getting stopped by the police. We want to make sure that folks are very well aware of the inequities that do exist in education. From teachers having their own biases. We've seen it on social media where teachers are talking about the N-word. It's like, how can you actually equitably teach children if you're talking about them in that kind of way outside? So these are questions that we're going to be asking the school board candidates that's related to social justice. How are you working with children who are homeless or unsheltered? How are you working with children who you might say they stink or they have raggedy clothes, but do you know how to deal with somebody who maybe has both parents in the house who are on drug addiction or in an abusive household? It's understandable why they may be sleeping at night. And a lot of times people do not know that. Teachers do not know that. So we want to make sure that the school board knows that these type of issues. So today, we have with us for City Council 3, Sherrie, and I always say women first. So if you're formerly incarcerated, I always say you first. And if you're a sister, I always say you first. And then the men, we love our brothers, but they're gonna have to go after the women. But for this podium, we're gonna go in the opposite side. So Zack will ask all questions first, and then Sherrie will follow up with those questions. If you have questions, and that's something I missed when I came out, and since it's small, I would tell you if it's on the back of your paper, if you're like me, you will forget what you want to ask. Take on one of those back of papers if you have a pen or anything. And if you need a pen, let me know. And write your question down. So that way, at the end, you won't be to forgot your question. You know, you're like, dang, I forgot my question. Write your question down and we'll give you an opportunity to ask questions of the candidates. Now, so we're gonna take each candidate give you about 3 minutes just to give their story of what it is. The first question, just make sure you include this in what it is. Why are you running? What do you feel that you can offer to the district? And then just tell folks where your website is. Zack.
Oh. How y'all doing? Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like I said, my name is Zack. Born and raised in Columbus, Georgia. I'm a Carver grad, Alabama State University, New York Film Academy, the LA Film School. So I come heavy in the arts and athletic side of things. So why I'm running though, I see a need for. There's a huge disconnect between local government and the cities. You know, we have no knowledge of what's going on in our community. And I see a lack of leadership, which is not educating and informing our community about the things that are going on. So those are the kind of things that made me want to run, to educate and inform our community so we can better fortify our communities. What's the other question you said? Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, my social media is Zack Lee on Facebook or Zack Lee for District 3 on Facebook. So yeah, those are some of the main reasons.
Very nice. Good evening. I'm gonna stand up because I'm a stander. I don't like to sit down. Good evening, everyone. Before I get started, I want to say, Alicia, thank you so much for putting this event together. I met with Alicia at Justice Day just a couple weeks ago. Last week. It was a very, very, very amazing event. I was able to connect with a lot of persons. It was the same kind of work Alicia does and really actually help the community in their advocacy work. So I was very blessed to even spend the day at the Capitol because guess what? I've never been to the Capitol. And the reality is a lot of people have never been, especially in my district, have never in fact been to the Capitol. So again, thank you. My name is Sherrie. I'm from Oakland, California, born and raised. I'm here by way of the military. I'm an Army veteran, a small business owner. I'm a realtor, a community activist for several years, but most importantly, I'm a neighbor in District Number 3. I'm running because, again, I love Columbus, but I do see that there's a need in District Number 3 for persons to be accessible, accountable, create opportunity, and listen, and to show up. Most importantly, to show up and be accessible to my constituents. I love children. Having a residential program for children, I work with at-risk teens. So I understand the need for pouring into our community, for investing in our community, because it does change the trajectory of their lives. I want to be the person that put things together. I want to be the person that advocates for my district, to sit in those rooms so that our voices are heard, not my voice, the voices of my constituents. As I'm knocking on doors and I meet my neighbors, they're telling me things that they want to see happen. They're telling me changes. They're telling me what they want to see in a councilwoman. And I'm telling them this: if you support me, if you vote for me, I promise you, you're going to be able to say, once I'm elected, she did exactly what she said she was going to do. So today, if you're in my district, even if you're not in my district, I'm not asking for you to support me. I hope to earn your support. My social media, my website is sherrieaaron.org. You can find me on Facebook at Vote for Sherrie District 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't even know. I got a big mouth. So before we get started to our questions, I just want to let everybody know right now this year, City council candidate seats odd numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 are up for election. The last day to register to vote is April 20th. Early voting is from April 27th through May 15th. And as we saw what happened with my sister down in Texas, don't wait till the last day on Texas to go vote. Please, 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 if you can, go vote during early voting, so there's no mess at the polls. And then election day is Jasmine Crockett.
She did not win.
Oh. So, election day is May 19th. Okay, now about the city council, for those who do not know what the city council does. The city council is the legislative policy-making authority of the city, and it consists of 10 members. The city council's primary responsibilities are passing laws. Now, out of those 10 members, there are 8 districts, the other 2 are citywide. The city council's primary responsibility are passing laws, approving resolutions, approve and adopt the budget, sets taxes and service rates, sets policy for the city, approves specific mayoral appointments, such as the city manager, and possess the authority to override mayoral vetoes. Working hand in hand with the mayor, the council plays a key role in the budget process and the financial well-being of Columbus. Odd number districts are up for election, one of which is at large post. So right now we're going to go to the first question. And all of these are social justice related questions, okay? But of course, when you answer your questions, ask your question. If it hasn't already been repeated, we'll make sure we can get to your question. So the U.S. has the highest incarceration in the world. Georgia has the 7th highest incarceration rate in the country, and Muskogee County has seen fluctuations in their prison admission. And just so you know, a third, when people are released throughout the state, Atlanta gets the most, Savannah gets the second, Columbus gets the third amount of people. On average, between 350 to 600 people return to Columbus every year. The financial cost and devastating consequences of incarceration for individuals, families, and communities and taxpayers are well known. Columbus taxpayers spend over $50 a day for every person that's incarcerated in that Columbus jail. That is almost $20,000 a year for each individual that's being housed. Over 90% of the folks right now in Muskogee County Jail have not even been convicted. They're still waiting to go to court to be placed on bail. So there are some people, I know when I was here in 2018, we knew of somebody who had sat in that county jail for 4 years. So just imagine going to court after 4 years and then being told it was mistaken identity or you shouldn't have been there. And we all know about that mugshot thing, whatever it's called. Once your picture go up, that's it. People have lost their jobs, you lost your children, you lost your house. Only to be told it was my bad, it's a mistake, or whatever. You basically got 43 years of slave labor out of these folks, only to send them out. So we just want taxpayers to know what you're spending money on. People who are sitting at that county jail who might have stole a bag of paper chips. I'm talking about not bad people. I'm talking about this is what taxpayer dollars are going to. But right now, Columbus City Council, in last August, John Anker was the only one who voted no, approved spending over $478 million to build a new jail on 11th Avenue. That would not only increase the beds, which are currently 1,067, there are going to be more than 1,600 beds in the new jail, but will make it the most costly single construction project in the city's history at $100 million more. So my question to you both, where would that money come from? Likely another tax hike for taxpayers to pay. So my question to you is, if it is proposed to raise taxes, property taxes, or introduce another clause to cover the cost of the jail, even though they've already voted on the jail being built, would you support a new tax or raising of taxes to support the building of that jail? Or we'll start with Zack.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely not. Right.
Additional tax? No, absolutely not. I feel like right now, there are things that they're trying to see right now that they're trying to find money on as we speak right now. So it adds additional tax for this community. I don't think that would be adequate for our community. Right now, we're fighting about all kinds of things they're trying to bring into the city. They're not even communicating a lot of things to the community about what they're doing. So to add another tax on top of that to build a jail cell or something like that, no, I would not be with that.
I'm gonna do my best to sit down so I don't be like popcorn. But I think the questions are gonna come kind of fast. But I absolutely do not agree with increasing any taxes. Again, as I'm out canvassing and knocking on doors and meeting with my neighbors, a lot of them are trying to decide if they're going to pay for their medication or pay their light bill, and increasing their taxes, they will not be able to survive that way. I do agree though that we do definitely need a new jail. I've met persons in my district who have been to jail, and they say the conditions are not the best. They say that, there's mold, it floods quite regularly. So I do agree with we need another jail. I just don't know if we need a larger jail. Very nice. Okay. So we back in a second. If you all would like a fan, if you want to turn it the other way, that can talk.
So I could follow up on that question. So where would the revenue come from? If you have any knowledge of it to pay for the prison?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. I'll answer that question first. So, and this is just listening. This is just me coming up with thinking of ideas and stuff, right? So there's data centers that they're considering bringing to Columbus that are going to bring in $69 million a year. If in fact those data centers actually happen, which we don't know if they're going to happen or not, right? That they can use that money to pay for the jail, not increase the taxes on our neighbors. I don't agree with that.
And in relations to the data center funds, first of all, I think even with that, I think that we as a community have some kind of known plan of what they're going to do with the funds that's coming from the data center before we can assume that they will actually use it for those purposes. I think that we definitely, as a community, need to understand and have a knowledge of what they plan to do with that. With the funds from this data center, quote unquote, so we can make sure we have some kind of agreement with the city in reference to what we're going to do with the funds. As far as for the jail cells concerned, we can't make that assumption. I just think that we have to put it in place or have some kind of seat at the table to see exactly what are the plans going to be with any kind of revenue that comes from the data center.
Okay. Well, before he left, this is Richard. He is running for lieutenant governor. So before he left, he drove all the way down here from Atlanta just to see me.
Everybody.
So we just wanted him to be able to say, hey, introduce himself and give him a minute, just, let folks know he's running so you know who he is. But sometimes it helps to see people face.
Amen. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Let's try to begin. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Richard Wright, and I'm running for lieutenant governor of Georgia. So before I go into all my brilliance, I want everybody to repeat after me. Say, I am important. My views matter. Everyone in this room is important. And if nobody has told you that you're important today, let me be the first person to tell you. And so my name is Richard Wright, running for lieutenant governor of Georgia. I run on three things. I know we run on three things. I run on affordability. As a CPA, I think I know a little bit about money and a little bit about how to make Georgia's resources work better for citizens. Because my money is just like your money, and our money isn't going as far. I run on stability because we're going to have to change our tone, I believe, in government, the way we speak to each other, both sides, to build consensus for the betterment of every citizen. And visionary leadership, because today, it should have been thought about yesterday. And I tell people all the time that life is an exercise in tomorrow, right? We have to be thinking about tomorrow and how we're going to educate our kids, how we're going to have health care for our citizens, right? Transportation. I heard data centers up in here, but data centers will be around in 5 years, right? And so these are some of the things that we need to think about today for tomorrow. And so my name is Richard Wright, running for lieutenant governor of Georgia. You can't go wrong when you choose right.
Right. All right. And that was a book, Richard Wright wrote. Everybody remember that book?
Oh, let's see.
What's name? Bigger Thomas? What's name?
There was two of them.
Black like me?
No, the Black Boy and Native Son.
Native Son. Remember that name. Thank you so much.
Everybody be blessed.
Right. So the next question we're gonna go to, we've already talked about a little fiscal oversight. Because Black people are disproportionately targeted and stopped during traffic stops, often not because they have actual threat in public safety, but simply for being Black, driving a nice car, or being in a neighborhood that they look like they are not supposed to be in. What solutions do you have to end racially motivated traffic stops or for minor violations that do not affect public safety? And that can talk about whether it's paying for training, whatever it is that you feel that your role as a city council you can do to talk about that. Putting more cameras in certain parts of the town, police being over policing in certain areas. What would your role as city council would you be able to do to kind of put a dent in that?
Well, I think that's a layered question. I think first and foremost, my civic duty, if I'm elected as a city council, is to actually have a relationship with law enforcement. Also, with my relationship with law enforcement is to bring that relationship to the community as well, so we can have some kind of communication between the two. Also, I will get with the public safety director, which is there, so we can set meetings, having with public safety advisory commission to allow us to communicate properly with law enforcement and the community, so we can build a sanctuary as far as what they expect from us, what we expect out of them. Now, I also will advocate for more transparency with, more body cam, transparency with body cam footage and things like that for those minor traffic stops, just to cut down on racial profiling. And misusing the power. Also, too, those rogue and untrained officers really push for accountability, real accountability in that area.
Thank you.
Okay, so I hate to keep references both what the folks are telling me, what my neighbors are telling me, but as I'm not canvassing, one of the areas I was in was in East Winton here recently, and my neighbor was telling me how in that area the police have done a lot of what they call free picking. That's a term that I've learned here recently, where the police will, I'm assuming what they're referring to is racial profile. So when talking to them, I actually didn't stand there and see it. I saw it actually happen. I didn't agree with her at the time. I wanted to do some research and ask a few more questions. So what I did was I went to the community police department already and spoke to one of the officers down there to explain to them some of the concerns that she had brought me and what we could do to, bridge the gap, right? Because I didn't want to agree with her saying, hey, that's what's happened. But in reality, I think I did see what she saw, but it doesn't make it, it doesn't do anything good for the community if we all band together and say all the things that are going wrong, but we don't offer any solutions, right? So in reaching out to the community officers, we talked about having community events in the neighborhood, getting the police in the community so that the neighbors and the youth are not afraid of the police, right? But also when the police are pulling people over, they're releasing them if it's not something that's a violent offense. So a stop and essential release, right? And then even a step further, with the body cam, making sure they're working and that we can go back and we can actually view them and use them for training purposes, because so often the officers, they don't understand our youth. And what I'll say is when I see our youth outside walking, they may have a hood on, they may look a little intimidating. For me, I speak to them, hey, what's going on? How you doing? I'm Sherrie, who are you? I make it comfortable, so I think the officers versus being so stern all the time. I know there's a level of tact that has to go along with being in law enforcement. I do understand that, right? But also there should be a level of humanity as well in communication.
Well, thank you. Okay. So unfortunately, many individuals in Columbus have experienced times in their lives where they had to choose which vehicle to pay or pay a probation fine or traffic ticket. For individuals living within limited means, compounding late fees and potential loss of a driver's license can have catastrophic consequences on a person's ability to be able to drive to work and thrive. Individuals should not have to face losing their job, not having childcare, or not being able to pay for their basic needs because of their inability to pay a traffic ticket. So I know I do intend to ask the mayoral candidates on the 31st about them supporting an amnesty day, which a lot of places throughout, not just this state and other places, do give amnesty days for folks to come who have outstanding traffic tickets. But my question for the city councils are, with the exceptions for when an individual requires physical or behavioral health care, assaults filed at the municipal level, something serious like molestation or sexual assaults, for certain expenses, would you, as a city councilor, be willing to fund or support establishing a non-arrest policy and diversion program for non-violent offenses? So that means when you see someone who's, let's say, unsheltered but dealing with mental illness, first thing people want to do is what? Call the police. They don't need that. When you can try to do a diversion program. So that is my question to the city council when it comes to budget. Is that the type of program that you would be willing to fund in Columbus? We'll start with that.
Yes, I think that, first of all, with mental health, we don't have any of those things on in District 3. We do not focus, we don't invest in places and things for mental health with our citizens. We have to take care of our citizens no matter where they are. I think that program that you're talking about absolutely to support something like that, because I've had my life suspended. I've been in probation at a young age. So I think that those programs, talking about funding, that's an absolute yes on my end, without really talking about it. It just helps our community stay strong, but help people transition to better decisions. You know, you make decisions when you're young like that, it can affect you long term, but programs like that can help curb that, and you can continue on with your life, with making better decisions and not being penalized for it.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Absolutely, I do agree with those type of programs. Having access to different resources in our community is very important. Mental health is a big issue in our community. I have a lot of friends, and I deal with the average population every day. They have a lot of mental health issues, and jail is definitely not the answer for them. Understanding that, so the first thing is knowledge, right? Understanding what a person, what resources are available for that person to help them versus always resorting to call it for the police. So of course, I definitely agree with supporting. I'm very much solution-based and very resourceful. So I always look for resources to help the community.
Okay. Thank you so very much. Currently, right now, not just in Muskogee County Jail, but throughout the nation, 80% of incarcerated women are mothers. Individuals are often held pretrial because they don't have the ability to pay bail. Right now, 83% of the inhabitants of the county jail are being held pretrial. That means they've been arrested, they haven't even gone to court, meaning they have not been convicted, i.e. they've been kidnapped, and they can't pay their rent. That's what I call it. For those who may not understand what bail is, if I do something and you do something, your crime could actually be, your offense could be worse than mine. But because you got money to bail yourself out, but because I'm poor, I am kept in jail and you are let go, even though you are the greatest threat to the society than I am. So right now, that is how cash bail works. It is a wealth-based detention. So the question is, as a city councilor who will directly affect the city's budget, what are your plans, if any, to support funding programs and activities that reduce jail populations, and the diversion program is one, that will help keep communities safe, healthy, and connected to their community? And would you support ending cash bail in Columbus? We'll start with that. And it's okay if you feel like bail is good. This is open dialogue. But we just want to make sure if what your understanding is to understand what bail is. Bail is a promise that you will return to court. So because you got money don't mean you're gonna come to court no more than I will if I don't have money. So if bail is about me coming back to court, then everybody should be on the same equal plane. But it's not on an equal plane when you got money and I don't have money, just because you were able to bail yourself out. So I just want to make sure, is that something? A lot of places are focused on ending cash bail because right now we know that a lot of money is made off bail. And a lot of people basically specifically are being held and haven't even been convicted. That is the issue.
I wouldn't necessarily go over cash bill. If that's the thing that's in the state, I think that there are things that they do have in jail. Like I'm not sure exactly how they work and why they work this way, but they do have things like signature bonds where they don't have the money, but they can signature things like that. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
how that actually works or what was the criteria for them being able to do a signature bond, but I think it's possible. Maybe that's something that we can actually, I guess, discuss and push more towards people who cannot afford bail at that time or something like that to make it even plan for, I guess, something like that. Because I'm not sure, like I said, the criteria like a signature bond versus cash bond. But if that's something that we can do, I definitely would be more so on the side of that, being able to provide a signature bond for people who cannot afford to be able to get out of jail at that time, especially the ones who minor stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Good evening again. Talking to my neighbors, who talked about them being in jail for, just recent as yesterday, a person was in jail for 3 weeks because they could not afford a $25 bail. This is the truth. This is not something that I did not hear with my own ears.
It's okay, there's people in Atlanta right now sitting on $1 bill.
Exactly, $25.
They get money for them being in jail. Talk about that.
Wow. So I support cash bail. I do think that we should go through the reforming process, right? So that we can understand who should, receive a bail, what level the bail should be. $25 being in jail for a non-violent offense, I think that is not okay. So I do agree that it should be reformed, okay? Also, when dealing with persons that have extreme violent offenses, I don't think they should have a bail and be released back into the community at all.
Okay. So
Until after trial.
Okay, yeah.
Until after trial.
Okay.
Until after trial. Okay.
So we do know that Columbus is one of those cities who's not absent from police brutality. Over the past, I think last time I knew of, 2016, 2019, there was one police officer who actually hit somebody on a hit and run on her personal car. She ran, reported the car stolen. Another police officer that were doing a high-speed chase, and 3 children got injured. One of them actually got killed. Another one where one of the police officers stopped somebody and asked him to open his hand, but because he did not open his hand, he handcuffed him, but still continued to beat him while he was down. And there are so many other ones. So with that being said, when we're talking about police excessive use of violence, and Columbus does not currently have an independent civilian-led police review board for reporting and investigating police misconduct. Instead, complaints against police officers are currently handled internally by the Columbus Police Department's Internal Affairs Unit, which investigates allegations of misconduct. However, we always know there's this issue of protecting the blue and protecting our own. So my question to you is, would you support establishing an independent police review board that is made up of citizens when police are accused of criminal misconduct? Zack.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I would need that. Matter of fact, it's a shame. Matter of fact, I think that that would be great, and I think that citizens, we need to raise more hell when it comes to that as well.
Okay.
And I'm definitely with that. That's all I got to say about that. I think, yeah, I'm definitely with that.
So I agree that we need a board. I do agree with that. Now, do I agree that we need citizens to lead the board? I'm not quite sure about that because I would think that we should have some type of professional, maybe mental health. There has to be a reason behind a lot of the fairness that goes on with the police, the imbalance of power and things like that. So if you have a regular person that is on a board that can make a decision over a police officer, then what kind of accountability do they have for making false,
Well, that's why they be properly screened, but we're saying some kind of board where citizens are sitting on, not just police.
Maybe a balance. So maybe some citizens, right, that are maybe appointed, and then some persons that this is what they do, this is their profession, this is, so I do agree with the board, and I do agree citizens can have involvement, but I'm not sure what that would look like right now.
Okay.
But that's a really great idea.
Okay. So,
well, I'm thinking in terms of, just like in criminal cases, sometimes they bring in a special investigator who has no interest in one side or the other, who can do an investigation independently. You know, this could be the same concept, somebody who doesn't have to form a relationship with the department or with the council, somebody who's independent of all these entities will come in and do the investigation.
Absolutely.
They have no skill.
Yes, that's right.
Absolutely.
And it allows for full transparency. So I agree with that. So we all know we spoke earlier about the challenges of an individual who is impacted by a criminal record but trying to come home and find jobs and housing. So we all know that Columbus received a third of those people back. So secure and stable employment is a critical factor in reducing recidivism and crime among formerly incarcerated people. Georgia has a 50% reincarceration rate. That means 50% of the people who have gotten out have committed a crime again. And a lot of times it's because of poverty, it's because of mental illness. People need to eat. People need to take care of their bills. They're going to do what they need to do. So when individuals are released from prison and are able to successfully re-enter the workforce, they transform from a state burden and expenses into contributors to the economy through their purchases and paying taxes. One study has even found that if you connect 100 unemployed people with a criminal record, it generates about $1.2 million in annual earnings. So if you were to take this and multiply it, so it'd be 1,000 people, the city of Columbus actually, if they were to take 100 people and give them livable wage, they'd be getting basically $1.9 million thrown back into the and then also when people are incarcerated, taxpayers pay that. We already spoke about taxpayers having to pay $50 a day for down in the county jail. It costs money to keep people locked up, potential workers locked up. Decarceration unlocks that human capital. Returning people to their communities where they can work, start businesses, and otherwise contribute economically is a plus for society. So my question is, what's my question? What will you do in your role as city council for your district to support? I know, what is it called? The Chamber of Commerce is the ones who recruit businesses here. But what can you do to the best of your ability as city councilor? Do your part in recruiting businesses here that will hire people with criminal records. So when people have jobs and have their own money, they ain't gotta take your money. They ain't gotta take your stuff. So what is your role in helping get employers here, or to maybe possibly advocate and talk to employers about becoming second chance?
First thing we got to do in our community, we literally have to clean up our district to attract businesses to come. You know what I mean? Because if they bring a business here, they want to bring a business here, and they want to feel safe, you know, and put in incentives to make sure that they employ citizens in District 3 to ensure that they have, you know, ways to live and things of that nature in this district. But mainly, we have to clean up the area in order to make it attractive for business to even see, have a vision to bring a business in the district. That's the first thing we have to do. And I think that will lead to us being able, like I said, maybe provide incentives for them to employ that's in the district too, as well. And I think that will definitely empower the city community.
Okay, thank you. And before you talk, Sherrie, I can remember this. You know, part of our job at New Life is we keep running lists of employers who are willing to hire people with criminal records. I can remember getting out of prison and somebody was like, go to the Department of Labor. They have a whole list of people that hire felons, and that's not a word that we use anymore. We don't use felons and convict, criminal, and prisoner. We use people in prison or a person with a felony. And there's about 150 people on this list. And I mean, taking my time, trying to call people, visit people, only to find out that one of those people only hire people with records. So what we do is we serve as that bridge. We get employers who know we work with folks with criminal records. They call us and they say, this is what we have. And when we find out about jobs, we only share those jobs with folks, with our folks, to let them know that you're missing out on great opportunities. A lot of people, to me, they are, and a lot of our employer partners have said they are the best workers. Why? Because some people have gone 8 years. Can you imagine going 8 years without a job? Not being able to pay, you know, fine food or having your girlfriend take care of you. And I say that because most of our men are locked up, and it's the women with the girlfriends who's going broke and in debt trying to do this. To know that you have not been able to get a job simply because you got a record or something you did. We've helped people get out or help people get jobs. They've served 20, 30 years in prison, went in prison at 17. They're now 45 years old. And you're talking about something they did in 1983. Like, how long are people supposed to go being punished for something that they have supposedly already paid their debt to society for? So I can recall going to that KFC, I think it was Tillinghurst, and it was a KFC right there, and a Circle K, I don't know if it's still there or not. But there was a KFC right there at Spiderweed. It's still there?
It's still there.
And I can recall going in there, and we all know where that sits at, right? Right off Innova's Road. A heavy impact of black folks. When I tell you I went in there one time and we were gonna order some food, it was about $3,000 food. And I asked them, hold up, I forgot to ask y'all, do y'all have people with records? And when she said, oh no. I said, so you mean tell me you said right here in the hood, you getting these folks money to buy your chicken, but you won't even hire these people and you gotta sign out about you hiring, but you won't hire the people where a large majority of the folks in that community got records? That's a problem. And so I told her to cancel my order, and she looked at me like I was crazy. I am not going to spend my money to nobody who would not hire me or hire my loved one. And so that is what I wanted to hope that when you get ready to say your response, Sherrie, that is what we need. You know, that we get all these people. I think y'all just got Kumo tired. Y'all got all these folks here, but they don't have folks with records. But then we complain because we got a high gang problem and a high crime problem. But the folks who need the job, there's nothing for them to get jobs. And so, including the youth. And so I just wanted to make sure you kind of include that here too.
Absolutely, absolutely. So crime improves when people have paychecks.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be my responsibility as a District 3 representative to go out and meet with other business owners. I have a lot of friends that own businesses. I know a lot of people that are, they're not my friends. We didn't grow up together, but when I meet them, we start talking, they become my friends. You know, being able to communicate with them to get them on board with us to hire, persons that have records. So just getting out in the community, not just District 3 though. So the relationship building needs to happen throughout Columbus. So they're not just prone to having jobs in District number 3, but those persons being able to work anywhere in Columbus, just building relationships all throughout the city. Because let me tell you real quick, my daughter, me and her talk all the time, right? And when she got this job, she was so excited. Before she got this job, me and her were talking about her friends who did not have jobs, who were not on the street and narrow because they did not have resources to get to work. So it's a lot of work that we have to do to get these young people, get these adults to the job because they're getting out. They probably don't have transportation. Yeah. Right. So being able to create programs to actually get them to the job and create relationships with different business owners so that they will in fact hire them. And not only that, trade programs. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I know a lot of barbers, and I know a lot of barbers with records. So understanding what trade programs are available so that when they're done with the program, they'll be able to in fact work in that field.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I wasn't going to bring this question. This was going to be the closing question, but I'm going to talk about it now since you talked about it. As an activist, some of the things that we see, and since you mentioned that, there are a lot of folks who do work in the prison. They do everything from being mechanics. They work on these police cars. They're barbers. They're cooks. They do HVAC. They do all of this. They're even cosmetologists. Do you all know that if you've been up for parole in the state of Georgia and you could cook some good grits or you could lay a good weed, they would deny you parole because and call you an institutional need. So I just want y'all to know that if y'all live nowhere else, your mama, your auntie, your uncle are being denied coming home simply because the prison and the jail system feel like we can't let them go. They can clean up too good. Or they use fabulous when they clean. Or she do good hair. To the point where they even bring their children into the prison to get their hair done for free. But these same folks, the state of Georgia will deny you a license to become a barber. They will not allow you to work. So as we segue into that, I am currently working on changing Georgia's law, which is actually the state constitution, that slavery is actually still legal. People think the 13th Amendment ended slavery. It did not end slavery. Because in the 13th Amendment, there is a clause that says, with the exception of a person being convicted of a crime. That's right. This is why there is a rise, particularly of strong Black men, to be locked up so that they can perform free labor. The state of Georgia has 159 counties. Columbus turns out the most slaves. Over 600 people are turned out in Columbus, from working in the courthouse to working on cars to doing our trash. And I will show you all just a link for you can be able to watch it on your own. I even did a documentary that worked on a couple years ago that talked about why prison labor actually incentivizes locking people up. And so here in Columbus, that segue into my next question, which is an issue. Those folks who are working on those trash trucks, who are doing mechanic work, who are being barbers, when they get out of prison, they should not have to get out here. It's only so long that a person's gonna try to do good. But after a while, folks are gonna do what they need to do. And when you say, hey, I wanna work on a garbage truck, I really loved it, I did it for 8 years, oh, we ain't hiring. It ain't the fact that you're not hiring. Why would you pay somebody a livable wage to do trash when you got slaves to do it for free? So my question is, a lot of cities have done it, a lot of states have done it, and hopefully by 2028, because we can only do it every 2 years when you want to change the state constitution, which is what I'm trying to do. If that came up on the table, first I would like to know your opinion on it. And if that came up with the budget, because I can remember Teresa Tomlinson saying, when she was mayor, we saved $18 million when we use incarcerated labor. So in fact, what you think you are saving, you're not saving, because you got high crime, you got homelessness, you got children who ain't got daddy. So the exchange is not an even exchange. When you're saying you're saving 18, just imagine the amount of money that they can pay in the economy, what they can get from paying taxes, that they can pay from buying stuff. When you go in the store and you want to know why the bread went up $2 extra, it's because people keep stealing out the store. You want to know why you can't do certain things in those places, because people break it in housing. That is because folks don't have jobs. They don't have housing. So I wanted to know, since we now know that slavery is still alive, if that is something that was come on the table, because I know that's going to be the question is, well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do to dump our trash? What are we going to do to be our mechanics? The reasonable thing is to pay people to do it. And if this man right here want a job down at the waterworks does hire people with records, I'm gonna say that. The waterworks will. But if you want to get a job on the garbage truck or down at the county courthouse, and you live out here, but they'd rather have somebody inside doing it for free, they could just pay you the wage so you can take care of your family. So another question is gonna come up. For one, would you support that question that's gonna come up? Well, who is we gonna get to do it? And where that money is gonna come from? As an alternative, if Columbus was to end prison slavery, for one, would you support it? And two, if that question came up, well, where we gonna get the money from to pay people? What would be your response? We're gonna let you go first.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so I do not support jail slavery, but I will support jail labor if the inmate benefits from it.
Okay, stop there. We're not gonna say inmate. Incarcerated person.
If the incarcerated person. Okay, get me straight.
Okay.
Okay, if the incarcerated person benefits from it, i.e. lesser prison term sentences, right?
So you mean if he's doing it, there should be something in the
Oh, he should be compensated.
Yes,
He should
okay.
be compensated with reducing his sentence or with money. It doesn't, I don't know what the wage would be.
Well, in Georgia, they're paid zero.
And they're paid.
California, their firefighters get paid 60 an hour, 19 cents an hour. Some people get paid 3 pennies a day. Georgia is zero, okay?
So we gotta do something about that. So if it's gonna be jail labor, they should be compensated for that.
And if it's gonna be called a workforce training program, or if you're saying that they're taking it because it's training them,
They should resist some sort of
they should be getting a job that they've been training for. So technically you ain't training people.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense. And so technically you're not training people. And then we just wanna make this little fact known too, because somebody had to get this to me. People in prison are still obligated to pay their federal taxes. People in prison are still obligated to pay their student loans. It says it right there on the Department of Education, you still have to pay student loans. People in prison still got to pay child support. If somebody kicked in your door and caused $8,000 worth of damage, that's called restitution. But if they're in prison, you ain't getting your restitution. So a lot of people think people in prison are getting paid. They're not. So me personally, I feel no reason why they should not get paid. Right now, and I'm gonna call them out and I don't care what they say, at Amazon, you have people making $25 an hour packing a box. The man next to them packing the same box, not getting paid. That is no way fair. Starbucks, Victoria's Secret, Verizon Wireless. Hey, thank you for calling Verizon Wireless here. They're calling from inside prison, and you're using this incarcerated labor. But when you get out after you work 10 years of making a Starbucks cup, Starbucks will not hire you because you have a felony. but you had a family for the whole 10 years you've been working. So we need to get away from what's comfortable to say these folks need jobs and we need housing. And so we're gonna run into the next segue where we're talking about slumlords here in Columbus. There are certain parts of town where the housing is horrible. And there are certain landlords who are known here in Columbus to run the same type of horrible housing. They're charging $700 and $800 for a bedroom, but there's mold, there's air conditioning units don't work. And I want to know did I let you guys respond to the other question? Oh, no. You gotta catch me there, because when I start talking about that treatment later, I'll be honest.
No, we're not even talking about it. That's yes. I definitely would support that, making sure these guys get paid. Also, too, again, goes into when they get out, going into incentives, businesses, hire these people. You know what I mean? Give them an incentive. You know what I mean? To hire these people,
Yeah.
That's what I definitely agree to that.
Yeah. And I believe in the third, that's something I came up with in the event that they asked. So if you think a person that's in prison should get $25 out, they should. So you can put a third on their books, third for their child support, and a third goes to their mom for taking care of their children at home, or their restitution or whatever. This is the only way you're gonna get it back. But people need to be able to work and feel like I got money saved up. So when I get out, I'm a man. Somebody will take care of my children. I can help my mom pay her light bill. My mama drive 4 hours one way just to get back. I can give her the gas to get here. You had a question?
Yeah. I wanna say, like, in the prison.
Somebody tell you look like it's
prison system, the prison system, I believe that, the people who get ready to get out of prison, I believe they need some type of training before they hit the street if they've been in prison so long, you know what I'm saying? Long, they put them out on parole.
Yeah.
They just get out there, they keep on searching for jobs, and they don't find them, because just like you said, people let them down.
Yeah.
And then what they do, they go back to the streets and stuff and do the same thing. They end back up in prison. I think they need some training in certain part when they get out of prison.
Particularly for folks who are not trained in doing the city jobs, There are folks that go in and say, I'm gonna do my time and that's it. And a lot of folks who do go to prison, some people do give in life, they don't think they're gonna get out, but we see every day, God is good. He'll let folks that serve life, been on death row, they get out and they don't know what to do. Some folks in that area get no technical training on how to use no computer, they don't know how to do anything. Because folks who's not worked and been out, it is a business. Everything from the commissary that's charging you $5 for a bar of soap, that only give women 4 tampons and 2 pads. Next for a week. But then you mad when they're tearing up the pillowcases and using the pillowcases. People do not know the issue and the challenges that folks are having, but that's a conversation for a whole nother.
I want to comment on that.
Okay.
I want to comment on it real quick. So when I was in the military, maybe some of my battle buddies in here can help me out. When we were getting ready to retire and exit out the military, we had those briefings that we went to, and they helped us transition out into the real world, right? So I believe that those type of briefings should go on inside the system. So we would have to, what I would do if I were the next city council person, I would go sit down with Sheriff Countryman and talk to him about incorporating some of those programs into the jail and find out, first of all, what are you doing? Because I know they're doing something. I know that some type of systems already in place, but what are they, and are they not as effective as they could be?
Okay. And it could quite possibly be that they don't want to be effective. Because if they're not successful when they get out here, that means they get to go back. That means we can keep our job. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes I do believe roadblocks are put in place intentionally to keep folks going back into the system, because that is the way they get paid. Y'all know that when there's a private prison that gets built in your town, let's say that's 6,000 beds, and they will tell the city, we need all 6,000 of these beds filled. If not, you have to pay for those empty beds. So from that point, now folks getting locked up for some everything, because they would rather send you to prison because they get take. They're called lockup quotas. So when you are incentivized to lock people up to get free slave labor, to get money, you're locking people up for the wrong reason. Yeah. Okay. Did you have questions? No. Okay. We got 2 more questions, and we're gonna give y'all opportunity. Now, we want to talk about slumlords. I know you have probably talked to folks, but this has been an issue even when I was here, and I can tell you the name: them red shutters, and them brick buildings. But especially down in Decatur Court, it's the same company, F&C, that got these crappy houses that don't pick up anything. We all know the law that says you cannot withhold your rent because your landlord is not doing their job. And I wanted to know, I'm not even sure if it's in y'all's capacity as city councilors, but what do you plan on doing to address hearing and listening from the people who are having to live with being bothered with slum housing? Because last I checked, ain't no slum houses nowhere near Green Island here. Ain't no slum houses, at a certain point once you get past River Road. Yeah. So what is being due to be addressed that, or landlords who have property and you ain't fixing it up? It's been overgrown with dirt, stuff, which also breeds people using drugs and crime and stuff like that. Like, you got a house, you need to clean it up. If not, you can sell it, tear it down.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, northern parts of the city, they have their communities zoned and have the ordinances together, so things like that can't even happen in those neighborhoods. See, our communities, we don't have none of those things set up.
Why not?
Because I think that's poor leadership that we've had in our communities and our districts for the past 20-25 years.
So you're saying that there's some kind of rule in place that says you can't bring slum housing?
Unless we don't have any ordinances and things in place to make them follow law. That's why a lot of times in the neighborhood, they don't cut the grass and stuff like that. What ordinances aren't in place to hold them accountable for that? So we have to tackle down on those things. I think that also, and I also believe, and if they don't follow certain ordinances and stuff, make the city come back and inspect the properties properly and make them have a certain standard of community. I believe in healthy fines for that. Now, also as a city council person, I think that I would at least get with the owners / realtor companies, slumlords as we call them, get with them, come together with some kind of neighborhood empowerment program to where there's a certain standard that the owner, the realtor companies have to abide by just as well as the tenants when they sign that lease. There's a certain standard of the community that has to be followed by, So if the tenant is not doing what they're supposed to do based off this lease agreement with these ordinances, then the owner / realty company can deal with the tenant how they want to do it. Now, with the owner and the tenant, if they're not following by what we said in the community, then they pay heftier fines. That's what I would do.
Makes sense. I like what you're charging for. All right, Ms. Sherrie.
Okay, so there are in fact fines that the city codes and enforcement can assess to the slumlords, to the homeowners. However, we have not held them accountable to get out there to ensure that things are being taken care of. So first things first, we identify who the owner is, and guess what? Neighbors can go to the city and codes office and say, hey, this is the issue, this is what's going on. I would even take it a step further, take a photo, right? And say, hey, this is what you need to look for when you go out there, and then allow them to do their jobs. And then guess what? If it's not done, right, as a constituent in the city, because I'm gonna do my part, I'm gonna help out just a little bit, right? I'm gonna reach out to them, and let them know what's going on. If they don't take care of it, then I'm gonna reach out to my city council person and say, hey, I've tried to help, it's not working. And then as a city council representative, I'm gonna go over to that office, I'm gonna talk to the director over there and say, hey, we need to figure this out. These buildings do not look good, because when District 3 looks good, guess what? The city of Columbus looks good. And we want District 3 and all the districts in Columbus to look well maintained and well kept, without all these blighted properties and without all this grass and all this trash everywhere. So it's about accountability first.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe they'll answer their emails, because I don't know how you be.
I'm gonna answer my email.
But I'm just letting you know, if I lived in Columbus, you would not, I don't care if you're black, white, handicapped, disabled. My question would be to you, do you answer your phone calls and respond to your emails?
Well, I will answer my phone, respond to the email. If you text me, you give me just, maybe
And I'm
24
glad
hours, and I will
they hear.
respond. Yes.
So, yes, you got to, you be a leader, you got to be able to respond to your emails. You got to be able to, that's what your phone number is on the website for. It's about, to me, being a city leader is about being a servant leader. And it's about loving the people that you represent. So I thank y'all. So my last question, and then we're gonna open the floor for questions. We gotta be out here about 6, and I gotta be on the road. That's a long 3-hour drive. Columbus has been ranked this past month. How much they try to make it look good. The report just came out this past month that Columbus is in the top one of the top 10 most dangerous cities in the state. So regarding the questions of, it has been proven that economic inequality and poverty, unemployment, and lack of jobs, drug and gang activity, and easy access to guns, permissive gun laws, and a high gun ownership rate all contribute to the rise of crime in Georgia. So my question to you is that considering that high crime is directly related to poverty and the lack of jobs available to individuals with criminal records, and it has been proven that peer mentorship and receiving support from other people who've been through the same system can be critical in crime intervention and prevention, what are your plans to address violence and crime in your district? And does that include implementing or working with other organizations, sort of like mine, who provide community-based approaches to violence? So before you answer that, there are things called community violence intervention, and then there are things called restorative justice. Restorative justice is, you wronged me, I'm the victim, we're gonna get together, we're gonna talk and see how we can repair this. What can I do to make you see? That's restorative justice. Community intervention programs is, they got them, sometimes they're called credible messengers, where you dealing with gangs and you got some old head people that have been in gangs and coming there saying, look, this is what we need to do. We finna mention that those are crime intervention. So the question is, I'm gonna say it again. What are your plans to address violence and crime in your district? And does that include implementing or helping with budgeting, implementing programs that are restorative in nature or intervention in nature? Or do you see a need for it? Maybe District 3 don't got no gang and crime problem.
Now, I think that all of our communities need preventative programming. Now, it goes into like Parks and Recs, for example. I'm a huge advocate of Parks and Recs, and I think that right now they need to reprogram and update Parks and Recs to service our community like it's supposed to. I think that a lot of times what is happening is without Parks and Recs, things that service our community. Of course, we're in the future now. We can't talk about back in the day, but a lot of things back in the day needs to be implemented now as far as the resources for these kids, after school programs. Because a lot of times, like back in the day, Parks and Recs work well with after school programs, getting kids to and from those places. And with that, when they're at Parks and Recs, you have mentorship. You have older kids or older coaches or things like that that can mentor these kids while once they get out of school. I think the money's there for, to provide these things for our kids with Parks and Recs. I believe in working with wraparound, more wraparound services. You know what I'm saying? Get more mentorship, more GED programs, more or after school programs. Even put more value into the arts and things of that nature, because there's kids out here who does have more dreams and goals and aspirations, but our community is not conducive for that kind of mentality as well. And I think that we need to put more value into that as well. And also too, what that does is I think that it creates kids from, going from school to a career versus school to prison. You know what I mean? So I think those things will help. Preventative like that would help to curb a lot of crime. And also to bring more, like again, jobs. That's very important. Money, so all those things. When we have lack of those things, that's what leads to crime as well. You know what I'm saying? So so that's what I would do as a city council person. I would be very advocate for those things, those resources.
Well, I don't live here, but I would highly encourage you, because I live in Atlanta, and I know if y'all been in Atlanta, y'all seen them water boys. I would highly encourage that a lot of times the young boys who are selling drugs or they're doing what they're doing because they need money. So I would encourage city council members to at least somewhere in their budget implement some type of entrepreneurship program.
So take my stuff.
Okay, well, let me let you talk.
I'm putting my stuff. Okay, no, that's great. No, so crime prevention, right? So what I think about is, like you all said and we said earlier, the reason why crime is so high is because for lack of resources and people, they need money. That is just a reality. As an entrepreneur, I do work with a lot of youth, and we do encourage them to be entrepreneurs. The wire buzz is amazing, but we have young ladies who make bracelets. We have I pair guys who have construction companies with young boys so they can learn trades and make money, because these kids want money, right? One thing that I learned yesterday, I had spoken to some officers yesterday about some things, and they told me that we do have a very high crime rate, but a lot of the crime is done guns that are stolen out of cars. So first, what we could do to help crime just a little bit is take our guns out of our cars. So that's one thing that's very important. It's very important to me. Also, resources, just introduction, just meeting people that do things that can help, our community, that can help the persons that are looking for the jobs, that are looking for not even just jobs, just resource, period. Mental health, that do advocacy work, that can maybe you can teach someone. I'm sorry, excuse me, you guys. I want to make sure my thought is correct because I'm very passionate about this because I have a lot of family who were in and out of jail over the years because they had lack of resources. They were going back and forth, but they would get out, and there was no person that could get on their level and explain to them how to get a job or how to start your own business. So even further, getting these persons to come into the schools, i.e. myself, and community advocates, community leaders, community persons who may have businesses, no trades, get into schools and talk to the kids, teach them about things that you went through so they don't have to go through those things. One of my most important weeks is career week because I've been through a lot in my life. I was raised by my grandmother. My mother passed away when I was 1 year old. I grew up in extreme poverty. So I go in these schools and I actually encourage these young persons and I show them that you don't have to have graduated high school to be successful. You don't have to have gone to college to be successful. I tell them the real. The problem with people today is we're not honest about how we got where we are or honest about the things that we've gone through because your story can really help somebody else. So it's all about resources and communication and relationships. So thank you.
Thank you. You want to take something else? You said something you want to talk about entrepreneurship. Okay. Well, that is the last question, and we got to be out of here in 20 minutes. But I want to be able to answer a couple of questions from folks who have a question, but who may not have opportunity to answer. Now, if you're shy, like I'm not, there's a half piece of paper there. We are going to be doing a candidate's questionnaire, where candidates will have about 2 to 3 weeks to answer a series of questions that we have. And also we want your feedback on these questions that you would like us to put in the candidate questionnaire so that we can give them hard questions and we can lay it all out there from all the candidates who've had it. There's a half a sheet, if I'm not mistaken, it says, we want your feedback. Just scan that and complete it with whatever questions you may have. The deadline is on there, and then we're gonna compile all those questions, get the ones that are duplicates, and we're gonna combine with some of the ones that we weren't able to ask, and yeah, there were more. And we're gonna make sure that we compile that on the questionnaire. But if anybody has a question you'd like to ask, feel free to come up and come here, because we, recording, so that way we can hear you. Anybody got a question? Okay. Did everybody get a ticket? Raise your hand if you did not get a red ticket. See, you didn't get a ticket. 1, 2, 3, 4. No. The folks in the back. Basically, the folks in the back. 5 in the back. Okay, every individual need their own ticket. So yeah, 5 in the back. And right here. What is that? Did you get a ticket? No, you get a ticket. Oh, okay. So it's 5. Yes. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the back. Steve, we get 3. And then I tell you look like Mr. Brown. I tell you like Mr. Brown. I can't tell Mr. Brown. Him and his wife was Savannah about 2 years ago.
Hey, you look like man, so you look like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And since we don't have any questions, I would like to encourage you all to come out. The card that has our QR forms, if you would come out to our events, this is what we're talking about, social justice. These are the things that, and we'll have a few other ones in there sprinkled around. The next one we have is 11. And because we want to talk about it here, but it'll be on the candidate questionnaire about this new ordinance they passed, the new law they passed in Columbus about locking up the unsheltered people. But because the person who introduced that came out of District 5, we will be asking that as well. So there are a lot of questions that we did not ask. that pertaining to, I think, the Valero restaurant with the trees overgrown on it, and a lot of questions that we were not able to ask here, we will be asking them throughout the other candidate forum. So if you have the time on the 5th, the 11th, which is next week. The 11th, which is next week at 4 o'clock, North Columbus Library. Who this for?
I got to get out more. We didn't have.
This says tickets. I get one. Oh, this for me. Okay, you right. Well, don't really make it the same number. And that's gonna be that one. That's District 5. That evening at 7 o'clock, we are partnering with Fair Count and Vote Riders to talk about who can vote in Georgia. Okay. Who can vote in Georgia? And before we go, and before I call these numbers, I want to make sure.
You're gonna have to put up on to verify their registered to vote.
Yes, this is what I want to show y'all. For those of you when you're going to the door to talk to people about voting, and you go to somebody's door, you're talking to your cousin, and you say, "Are you registered to vote?" And they say, "Oh, I can't vote. I got a felony." You do not walk away, because in Georgia, you can vote with a felony. You just cannot be on probation or parole. Even if you owe restitution, fines, or fees, and you should have that form right down on you as well, you can vote in the state of Georgia. Also, Georgia passed a law 2 years ago that if you have been on probation for at least 3 years, you are eligible to have your probation ended early. So if you know anybody, your cousins, or anybody who you know is on probation, they've been on it 3 years, they haven't committed no new crime, not traffic offense, those okay, no new crime, they can actually get off probation early and they can actually go. And I tell people all the time, when you go to the DMV or go to the library, they say, "You want to register to vote?" Be careful, because if you register to vote while you're currently on probation or parole, that's 10 more years of prison. Again, why are you sending people to prison for 10 years trying to register to vote? If it wasn't because you're benefiting off our labor. So this is just our website page. There's a lot of stuff that we have that we try to educate people on. Voting with a disability. You can actually have somebody help you vote if you're disabled. If you're disabled and you have hearing impairment, they're supposed to actually give you a large print machine if you ask for it. You're supposed to be able to have your nurse there if you've got a problem with your hand. So this is a very helpful website. Voting as a person that's in domestic violence, you can still vote through the Vote Safe program. If you're voting as a trans individual, your gender on your ID is different than what it was. Who you can vote and who you can legislate and all this. But if you need to learn how to vote, it's very simple and easy to learn to register to vote, or even see if you vote. Y'all know we had a purge last summer, right? What was it, 300,000 folks? They removed from the rolls because people haven't voted in so long. So if you go to my voter page, you can go to your voter page, put in your information, your first initial.
And you gotta check it, pull your phones out.
Yep. Pull your phones out. You want to go to my MV, just type in Google my voter page. When you do that, it's gonna come up as MVP. You simply go in, you put your first initial, last name, your county, I'm gonna leave it just behind, so hold on, I got make sure it's on.
What did that say? I can't see.
My library closes at 6 o'clock.
Okay, we about to be out of here. We about to be out.
I'm sorry, I have my glasses.
We about to be out of here. And it'll come up telling you can register to vote. And that's all you gotta do. It's very simple. It'll tell you where to register, it'll tell you where your polling location is, it'll tell you who your representative is, it will tell you everything you need to know. And if you're not registered, you can register. Even if you have a felony from 10 years ago, long as people say, "Well, I ain't on paper, but I owe restitution," that's okay. If you owe fine and fee, it's okay. So just go to my voter page.